Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new Darkthrone album, Old Star. Darkthrone is a legendary Norwegian black metal band. They've got so many classic albums like A Blaze in the Northern Sky, and if you're into black metal and old school black metal, trust me, go back in their discography, you're gonna find plenty of classics. However, interestingly enough, since the mid-2000s, Darkthrone has actually been going through a major renaissance and a really revitalization of their sound. They brought in elements of crust punk on their FOAD album. Dark Thrones and Black Flags had almost a blackened rock and roll sound to it. And Circle the Wagons, for what it's worth, may be the catchiest album in their entire discography. And with albums like The Underground Renaissance and Arctic Thunder, I feel like Darkthrone has reached the point in their career where they just don't care anymore, but the best way possible. The fact that they're just not confiding to one sound and just giving it their all. And honestly, more times than not, they come off really determined. So here we are, 2019, new album, Old Star. Let's chat about it. This album starts off with I Muffle Your Inner Choir, and honestly, it's tracks like this that just show that Darkthrone is just being themselves and doing what they do best. It's a very determined start, shows Darkthrone really bringing in elements of a whole lot of metal genres as they've been known to do in the last few years. There is some black metal thrown in there, of course, but for me, it's this very determined riff that really builds this track. Now, like a lot of the material that they've been putting out the last couple of years, you can argue that a lot of this album really isn't progressing any of those genres. But while they don't progress anything, they play these genres masterfully. I do have to say, though, I do like the production on this album quite a bit. It's very polished, it's very crisp. I totally dig that, mostly because I don't like a lot of the more grungier albums in their discography. But for those that do like those albums, this might raise some flags. The Hardship of the Scots is a nothing fancy throwback heavy metal tune. It's got a gigantic riff, it's got some gruesome vocals. Now, while I'm totally into this, this may be only track 2, but we are a far cry from where this album started off already. Darkthrone continued to be a hodgepodge of modern metal sounds. Granted, they pull them off wonderfully, but honestly, there are some times where I feel like they should maybe tone it down a little and go for one of these compared to 6. But here we do get everything from classy old school heavy metal to some elements of groove metal as well that are pretty good. Like I said, if you're not into the flip-flopping around, you may not dig this, but I personally think this is an awesome tune. On the other hand, Alpman is very slow, very sluggish, very aggressive. And honestly, I just love how explosive and guttural these vocals are here. I mean, personally, I'm always going to be partial to the band's black metal roots. But Darkthrone almost make me completely forget about that with just how determined they sound at times on this track. It's a very streamlined track, but at the end of the day, it just kind of sounds like where they should be right now, so I'm happy with it. And Duke of Gloat sounds more like a thrash metal tune than anything. This is one of the heaviest and most intense tracks here, but honestly, I needed a track like this right about now. Grisly and intense, but it's also got a strangely epic vibe to it, mostly due to their black metal roots. It's moments here that just come off almost ridiculously straightforward, but it's just so damn obvious to me. It just works too well. Of course this is a good track. And the guitar solo towards the end is strangely emotional. Even the last minute of this track doesn't let up and just leads to some of the greatest breakdowns on this entire album. This is all gravy. But alas, this is a pretty short album and only 6 tracks, and the rest of the time I kind of just sort of wish that Darkthrone would narrow down their sound and just perfect one of them. Old Star is one of the most streamlined tracks here. For me, it's honestly really too glistening. Sure, vocally and lyrically, this is very gruesome and gritty. But everything else about this track is just way too polished for my liking. Like I said earlier, I get that Darkthrone these days are just interested in incorporating all these different sounds into their sound. But how have we gotten this far away from the sound that this album started with? It's just, to me, way too average of a track with a very Darkthrone backdrop. It's not what I came here for. And the key is inside the wall as a finale is just really sloppy. Once again, it's a very slow, pensive track that really demands a lot of patience. But between the barrage of everything else here, this one just sticks out like a sore thumb. Of all the sounds that they've toyed with on this album, this one just seems so flimsy. For a finale, this one is just upsetting because Darkthrone haven't sounded this unfocused this entire album. Sure, the more upbeat bridge here is fine, but everything else is totally sloppy. So overall, this is one of the shorter albums in their discography, and honestly, it's one of the safer albums. Sure, there's a handful of tracks here that are just bringing together the crust punk vibes and the black metal and the thrash metal and all the other elements that they've been working with the last couple of years, making for some pretty epic tunes. But there's also a lot of times on here that I kind of sort of wish they would narrow it down to one or two and just really hone those in. It's moments like that that bring this album down, but still, like, go back and check out Darkthrone's catalog. They've got so much great stuff. But for now, on this new one, I'm feeling a light 7. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. Until next time, have a good day, guys.